Although there are plenty African leaders who went against colonization, today we will focus on these ones. Welcome to my channel, subscribe, hit the bell notification and like the video. Let's begin. Samori Touré. Samori Touré was a military leader and founder of the Wassoulou Empire in West Africa during the late 19th century. He resisted French colonial expansion in the region and attempted to unite various African states to oppose European encroachment. Samori Touré was a skilled military strategist and diplomat, and he recognized the threat posed by the French colonial forces, leading him to organize a resistance movement against them. Samori Touré was a prominent African leader and military strategist who founded the Wassoulou Empire, which was one of the largest and most powerful states in West Africa during the late 19th century. He is remembered for his resistance against French colonial expansion in the region. Samori Touré was born in 1830 in what is now present-day Guinea. He was part of the Mandinka ethnic group and belonged to a region known as the Wassoulou. In his early years, he gained a reputation as a skilled military commander and politician, eventually becoming a chief in his homeland. As he gained power and influence, Samori Touré sought to unite the fragmented states and chiefdoms in the Wassoulou region under his rule. Through a series of military campaigns and alliances, he succeeded in establishing the Wassoulou Empire, which encompassed parts of present-day Guinea, Mali, Côte d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. One of Samori Touré's most significant achievements was the creation of a well-organized and disciplined military force. He organized his troops into various units, each with specific roles and responsibilities. His army was equipped with firearms obtained from European traders, and he introduced a system of conscription to maintain a standing army. In the late 19th century, European powers, particularly France, intensified their colonial expansion into Africa. The French sought to establish control over the Wassoulou region and its valuable resources. However, Samori Touré was determined to resist colonial rule and protect the independence of his empire. Samori Touré's resistance against French colonial forces was fierce and persistent. He conducted a series of military campaigns to defend his territory, employing guerrilla warfare tactics, and skillfully adapting his strategies to counter the superior firepower of the French. Samori Touré is remembered as a symbol of resistance and African leadership during the era of European colonialism. His efforts to unify his people and defend against foreign domination have made him an iconic figure in African history. His legacy has inspired subsequent generations of Africans in their struggle for independence and sovereignty. The Wassoulou Empire, without Samori's leadership, eventually fell to French control after his capture, and the region became part of the French colonial territory in West Africa. However, Samori Touré's resistance and his lasting impact on African history remain significant to this day. Next up is Yaa Asantewaa. Yaa Asantewaa was a queen mother and a leader of the Ashanti people in what is now Ghana. In 1900, she played a central role in the Ashanti-British War, also known as the Yaa Asantewaa War, which was one of the last major battles of resistance against British colonialism in West Africa. Yaa Asantewaa recognized the danger of British colonial ambitions and rallied her people to defend their independence and fight against colonial domination. Yaa Asantewaa was born in 1840 in the Ashanti region of present-day Ghana. She was a queen mother, which was a prestigious position in the Ashanti society. As a queen mother, Yaa Asantewaa held significant influence, and her role was not just ceremonial. She had a voice in political and military matters. The Ashanti-British War of 1900 was a result of the increasing tension between the British colonial administration and the Ashanti people. The British sought to extend their control over the Ashanti region, aiming to gain access to its valuable resources, including gold and other commodities. In 1896, the British exiled the Ashanti king Prempeh, the traditional ruler of the Ashanti Empire, to the Seychelles. This move was an attempt to weaken the resistance and assert British dominance over the Ashanti people. In the absence of the Ashanti king, the Ashanti leaders were facing a difficult decision regarding their response to British actions. Yaa Asantewaa emerged as a powerful and vocal advocate for resistance. In a historic meeting with the Ashanti leaders, she famously exclaimed, "Now I have seen that some of you fear to go forward to fight for our king. If it were the brave days of Osei Tutu, Okamfo Anakai, and Apo Kuwer, chiefs would not sit down to see their king taken without firing a shot. No white man could have dared to speak to a chief of the Ashanti in the way the governor spoke to you chiefs this morning." Inspired by Yaa Asantewaa's call to arms, she took on a leadership role in the resistance movement. She gathered and led an army of Ashanti warriors, and her presence and leadership galvanized the fighters, both men and women, to stand up against British imperialism. Yaa Asantewaa and her forces launched an attack on the British-held fort in Kumasi, the capital of the Ashanti Empire. The British forces, though heavily outnumbered, held their ground, and the siege eventually resulted in a stalemate. The British responded to the challenge posed by Yaa Asantewaa and her forces by sending in significant reinforcements to the region. The arrival of more British troops and advanced weaponry eventually tilted the balance in favor of the colonial forces. Despite Yaa Asantewaa's bravery and determination, the British eventually captured her and other key leaders of the resistance. The capture of Yaa Asantewaa marked the end of the armed resistance, and the Ashanti-British War concluded with the defeat of the Ashanti forces. Although the Ashanti-British War ended in defeat, Yaa Asantewaa's bravery and leadership left a lasting impact on the Ashanti people and the broader African struggle against colonialism. She is celebrated as a symbol of resistance and women's leadership in African history. Today, Yaa Asantewaa is revered as a national heroine in Ghana, and her memory continues to inspire and empower people in their efforts to uphold their cultural heritage, defend their rights, and fight against injustice. She is an important figure in the history of the African anti-colonial resistance movement. Lastly, we are looking at Shaka Zulu. Shaka Zulu was a Zulu king and military leader in the early 19th century. While he did not predict European colonization specifically, he understood the threat posed by rival African tribes and sought to unify and strengthen the Zulu nation to defend against external pressures. His efforts to consolidate power and create a powerful military force were partly in response to the turmoil brought about by the expansion of European influence in southern Africa. Shaka Zulu was born around 1787, the illegitimate son of the Zulu chief Senzangakona and a woman named Nandi. Due to his illegitimate birth, he faced challenges and hostility from members of the Zulu royal family, which shaped his character and ambition. Despite the difficulties in his early life, Shaka's military prowess and leadership skills became evident. He eventually rose to a position of power and influence within the Zulu tribe, and in 1816, he succeeded his father as the chief of the Zulu people. One of Shaka's most significant contributions was the implementation of military reforms and innovative tactics. He revolutionized traditional Zulu warfare by creating disciplined and highly organized regiments known as impis. These impis were trained to fight with short stabbing spears and cowhide shields, making them highly effective in close combat. Under Shaka's leadership, the Zulu Kingdom expanded rapidly through a series of military campaigns. Shaka sought to consolidate the scattered clans and tribes of the region into a unified and powerful Zulu nation. He conquered neighboring tribes and integrated their warriors into the Zulu forces, creating a formidable army. Shaka centralized power within the Zulu Kingdom, consolidating authority under his rule. He established a strict hierarchical structure with himself as the supreme leader. His reforms centralized decision-making, and he effectively controlled military, political, and economic matters. Shaka's reign had a profound impact on Zulu society. His military and social reforms changed the dynamics of traditional Zulu life. He introduced new customs, military dances, and rituals to instill discipline and loyalty among his warriors. As Shaka's power grew, so did opposition and discontent within the Zulu Kingdom. In 1828, he faced a series of revolts and conspiracies, primarily from his half-brothers and other members of the royal family. In September 1828, Shaka was assassinated by his half-brothers Dingaan and Langana. Despite his untimely death, Shaka Zulu's legacy endured. He is remembered as one of Africa's most influential military leaders and strategists. His innovations in warfare and governance left a lasting impact on the Zulu people and influenced subsequent generations of African leaders. The Zulu Kingdom continued to play a significant role in the politics and conflicts of southern Africa long after Shaka's death. The Zulu military prowess was later tested in battles against the British during the Anglo-Zulu War of 1879, where the Zulus, though courageous, were ultimately defeated by the superior firepower of the British. Shaka Zulu remains an iconic figure in African history, celebrated for his military genius, social reforms, and efforts to unite and strengthen the Zulu people. His story has been portrayed in numerous books, films, and television series, further solidifying his place in the cultural and historical imagination of Southern Africa and beyond. Thank you for watching. Please support this channel for more videos.